Namaste and welcome to yet another episode of the Amazing Vedas with Dr. Pariksith Singh. Dear viewers, as you've seen last time, we've been talking about some of the feminine goddesses of the Vedas. Now, you know that in India, we are a goddess-loving culture. There are so many goddesses in the Indian pantheon: Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, Durga, you name it. And there is entirely, a feminine-oriented tradition in Sanatana Dharma, which is called Shaktism. But as we discovered last time, the goddesses actually are already in the Vedas, and they are in a kind of, archetypal, essential form. And then they expand and become, this entire pantheon of contemporary goddesses which are worshipped all over the country. And in fact, the divine feminine is something that you might say distinguishes not only Hinduism, but also Buddhism, Jainism, the Eastern traditions, and of course in Catholicism, the divine feminine is the mother of God. Mother Mary is Virgin Mary is extremely important. So we are talking a little more about the divine feminine. And last time, Dr. Singh, you told us about Prithvi, the earth goddess on whose body, as it were, we live, and who's also called Bhumi. Later on, we'll talk a little bit more about it. So, can you tell us a little more about Prithvi, who is also worshipped as the Bhudevi in the Yajurveda? There's a wonderful hymn to Bhudevi, and then in Atharva Veda, you have a later hymn, 63 riks devoted to Prithvi, also called the Bhumi Suktam or the Prithvi Suktam. So let's talk a little more about this goddess. And I only wanted to say that today we are so aware of climate change, we are aware of the ecological crisis, we are aware of the environmental movement. But would it be fair to say that this entire, orientation to earth spirituality is already present in the Vedas? And in the Prithvi Suktam, we have such a beautiful and profound celebration of our planet Earth herself. Dr. Singh.
Absolutely. In fact, our this is, since the Veda is really our first revelation on earth, if we may use the word Shruti, as each religion is based on revelation. But this revelation is not just about some transcendental reality. It's about the immanent. It is what is here, what is us, what is in us, and we are part of a bigger ecosystem. We are no longer, and the rishis did not see themselves as individual units, as more modern thought tends to do. They saw themselves as an intimate part of this biosystem, or the zoosphere, as we call it. And they had a profound connection and respect for this living ecosystem that we are a part of, and they called it Prithvi Loka or Bhuloka. And in fact, the way they saw the world, they saw each being, each person, as what they call it isomorphism, as reflective of the whole universe. There are correspondences between us and the universe. And so this physical body that we have is reflected or corresponds to the material world. And Prithvi Loka is not exactly earth as we see it. It is the material sphere that we inhabit, that we live in, that is supposed to be extremely important, because this is where all the divinity that you can conceive of or you can bring down, this is where the real materialization happens, pun intended. And this body is as much a part of the bhu as the rest. So we focus only on taking care of this body, this being, but their focus was taking care of the entire body of earth, of which they were a part of. So they see this whole being. In fact, it's very interesting. Even in the first Rik, they say, widen for us. They ask Prithvi to widen for them. And that was a typical Vedic way of saying, may we see you as wider, may our consciousness be wider, so we see you as a wider real entity than in our narrow perspective. And it's a very interesting way of asking the earth to become wider.
Exactly. In fact, Prithvi, the very
Yes,
dhatu means wideness.
yes,
And it's interesting, Bhumi, the dhatu means being itself. You talked
yes,
about our own materiality. And
yes,
we always see the earth as one of the elements which is constituted as earth, wind, fire, air, ether, so to speak, akasha, ether. And we've seen in the Vedic vision in our last several podcasts how all of these are sacred. The
yes,
waters are sacred, the winds are sacred, the energy, the light, as well as the fire within, Agni, they're all sacred. And the earth herself is so precious and so wide and so bounteous and so plentiful and so nourishing, right? So all
yes,
these ideas are there in the Vedas. And I would say that, the entire environmental movement or the entire ecosophical movement or the entire ecological movement, the reverence for the earth, earth spirituality, all of these are already there in the
yes,
Vedas and in a wonderful hymn like the Prithvi Suktam. In fact, I remember as a child growing up, we were taught this very beautiful short shloka. I think it goes, if I remember right, Samudra Vasane Devi, Parvata Sthana Mandale, Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam, Pada Sparsha Kshamaswami. So the sage is saying that, this wide, bounteous earth, whose breasts are the mountains and whose the oceans are the waters, you see, and you are my mother. And please forgive me because I'm about to step on you. You are supposed to
yes,
say this before you descend from your bed in the morning,
yes.
So, and what a beautiful way to show reverence to the earth. Uh, Now we are going to talk a little more about the other goddesses in the Vedas: Ratri, the night
But
goddess; Ushas, the day goddess; Shri, of course, the Shri Suktam. I think it's an appendix to the Rig Veda. But little more about Prithvi or Bhumi. Am I right in understanding that at least in the Rig Veda, Prithvi is also coupled with the sky, with the. So what is the connection between the earth and the sky, Dr. Singh?
it's a very it's different hymns. There are some references that the earth and the sky both are our mothers, if I remember correctly. So we are born not just of the sky, we're not just the spirit, but we are also of earth. But there's another very beautiful, and you, as you said, the Bhumi Suktam or Prithvi Suktam. The first line or the two padas are absolutely fabulous. They say, Satyam Ritam Brihat, the truth, the vast, and the right. They bear this earth, Dharayante, right? Dharayanti. So they hold it together. That is what earth is. This earth is held together by the yajna, which is our self offering to the divine. It is held by the Brahma, which here it means the mantra. It is held by tapa, which is the purification and the yoga, and diksha. But then satya, ritam, and brihat, which are three of the most important concepts in the Veda, which is a trinity, which the trinity of Satyam, Ritam, Brihat is really what you would today call as a concept of Satchidananda or existence, consciousness, bliss, or you would call it the supreme Godhead. But this understanding, this upholds the earth. This truth upholds the earth. So it is of highest importance. It is not a rejected, it is not a fall, it is not a coming down, but it is held by the highest truth and reality in existence. So I just wanted to bring that out, the importance that is given to earth. This is the field of our development, this is the field of our evolution and our growth and our eventual victory over mortality in our journey to discover the truth and to become immortal, amaratva. And we are called uh, uh,
Amritasya putraha. Yeah.
Amritasya putraha. We are children of immortality, and we are children of these two mothers, which is the sky and the earth, and they are close together. They work in harmony, in synchronicity. And that is the beauty of the Veda. You do not exclude any part of life. Everything comes together in an integral vision.
In fact, in native spirituality all over the world, it's Father Sky and Mother Earth, you see.
That's right.
And Father Sky is nourishing because he sends down the rain. We talked about it, Parjanya.
Yes.
So this whole cycle of reciprocity, and you rightly said, Ritam, Satyam,
Brihat.
Brihad, So basically, the responsibility of all the denizens of the earth towards the earth is as important as the nourishing bounteousness of the earth towards all those who inhabit this planet. And that's why I said in that hymn that I was taught, the earth whose garments are the ocean,
Yes.
whose breasts are the mountains. So don't you think it also enjoins upon us, especially the human species, which is so predatory in a manner of speaking, not only on other species but on Mother Earth herself? Doesn't it teach us? Don't the Vedas also teach us a great deal of responsibility and reverence, towards the earth, towards the waters, towards the air, which we breathe and which, of course, we are polluting? Many cities, as you know, around the world, even in Delhi, where we come from, they're so polluted. So it's us, it's our responsibility. The earth has nourished us. So what are we going to do in return, as it were? In return, meaning what is our responsibility? So, in a sense, the Vedas are also a guide on how to live. It's not only, some wisdom which is out there, in some abstract form, but it's a wisdom which is to be lived and practiced in daily life. So I just want to give it back to you for your concluding thoughts on Prithvi and Bhumi and Mother Earth, who is also, as we've seen already, a goddess in the Vedas.
It's absolutely beautiful when we read this, and I hope every denizen, every human being on earth is able to read this, understand it. How beautifully our forefathers saw a common family inhabiting this beautiful planet, where everything was sacred, where everything was a means to ascend, to grow to a higher consciousness that was still rooted. The roots were not given out. In fact, one of the very beautiful epics of India is Ramayana, and the two characters, the two famous characters, Rama and Sita. And Sita is mentioned in the Veda, even though Sita is mentioned in not as that person, that the consort of Sri Rama, but she, with the effort of Indra is the higher consciousness, the mind, the luminous mind, works on earth. There's a furrow created on earth, and that is called Sita. The earth takes a human form and becomes Sita. And so these Vedic symbols come through to us, even through our epics and further down. And as you know, Sri Rama has been so important in today's modern conversation, discourse in India, and kind of a resurgence of that. But we should not forget Sita. Sita, who is the earth mother, the consciousness of earth. Without him, Rama does not exist. In fact, she is the one who bears all the sufferings, takes on everything, and eventually she's the one who returns to earth, because earth is not ready for her. In the Ramayana, the most painful part at the end is, even though Rama, with his complete consciousness of the divine, comes down, but we are not ready for her, and she returns back to the earth. So it is heartbreaking, but she's not gone, she's not dead, she's alive, and maybe we can invoke her again and bring her back into existence among us.
Oh, that's very beautifully put. It reminds me of what Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri. We talked briefly about it, how at the end of the epic, Savitri chooses to go back to earth and
Yes.
reaffirms her commitment to the earth as an earthling, because it is on this beautiful planet that we have the opportunity to evolve. And when Sri Aurobindo invokes the Divine Mother, and when Ashwapati also, after his great sadhana, requests the Divine Mother to take birth as Savitri, as the heroine of this great epic, it is precisely because the earth at one point, I mean, humanity or whatever, consciousness, was not ready for this transformation. Perhaps the time has come to make it ready. And you know how human beings are. We change only when there is a crisis. So let's continue this discussion. But on this note, we invite you to other episodes of the Amazing Vedas. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And please do follow us on X or Twitter, where you will see very short but pithy, ways of unlocking the power of the Vedas in your daily life. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you.
Namaste.